Tennis at the Paris Olympics was a blockbuster event. We witnessed jaw-dropping action from start to finish with hundreds of unforgettable moments. Tensions rising faster than mercury in a heat wave. Tear-jerking retirements and goodbyes. And of course, brilliant wins from the very best in history. But with it all over now, what did we learn from it? What are the most important storylines to take from the Olympics, and what are the lessons we learned at the 2024 Games? Going into the tournament, the biggest question was whether or not players even cared about the Olympics in the first place. Following numerous high-profile withdrawals before the Olympics, it appeared that some players preferred to prioritize ranking points and the hard-court season over playing for their country. Jannik Sinner withdrew because he had tonsillitis, but is now ready to defend his points in Canada. Sabalenka withdrew, but then played at the City Open. In the past, we've seen players like Dominic Thiem and a couple others skip the Olympics too. Personally, I didn't see a point in criticizing anybody too hard because of all the different variables at play. Players have their own schedules, which we've got to respect. For some players, missing the Olympics might be a business decision since there aren't many incentives in terms of ranking points, prize money, and all that for tennis. These players are putting their bodies on the line, so it's up to them if they really want to play. For other players, it might have been due to the surface change. The transition from clay to grass and back to clay isn't something every player wants to put themselves through. Also, it might have simply been down to personal preferences. Different players feel different ways about the competition. For some players, it's everything, while for others, the Olympics is just a random summer event they really don't care about, which ultimately means that players prioritize Grand Slams over the tournament. But for someone like Novak, winning the Olympics meant everything. I'll tell you one thing though. Last week in tennis was a banger, and the action starts right here. Djokovic completed his tennis resume after beating Alcaraz in straight sets in the final. I already dedicated a video coming out this week covering Djokovic's gold medal run and the tactical analysis on how he managed to beat Alcaraz, so I'm not going to dwell on it too much here. But it's safe to say that this is the sort of legacy-defining moment for the Joker, who became the oldest player in history to win a gold medal in singles at the Olympics. It was his lifelong dream to win the gold medal for Serbia, and he managed to do that at 37 years old, and against arguably his strongest opponent in Carlos Alcaraz. Djokovic said he felt like his puzzle became complete with the gold medal. For Alcaraz, he'll certainly have many more opportunities to win the gold medal in the future, and he'll be proud of an amazing week. I'll also have a video analyzing Alcaraz's Olympic run coming out as well. Alcaraz became the second youngest man in history to reach the Olympic final after Robert Leroy in 1904. Carlitos had won 20 of his last 21 matches and was coming off the back of a 12th consecutive win at Roland Garros until Novak stopped him in the final. Having already withdrawn from the Canadian Open, Alcaraz will be looking to get some rest and prepare for the US summer hardcourt swing. Another man who should be proud of his performance last week is Lorenzo Musetti. Coming off a finals appearance in Umag, Musetti put up some clinical performances, beating Gael Monfils, Mariano Navone, Fritz again, and then defending champion Alexander Zverev, all in straight sets before falling just short to an irrepressible Novak. Musetti has now beaten Fritz in their last 3 matches. Does Musetti have Fritz's number? I think so. But aside from picking Fritz apart, Musetti has been riding the hot hand the last couple weeks. He reached his first major semi-final at Wimbledon 3 weeks ago, reached the final in Umag, and then earned his first top 5 win of the season against Sasha after hitting 20 winners past the German. Although he lost to Djokovic, Musetti beat Felix Auger-Aliassime in the bronze medal match to become the first Italian tennis medalist since 1924. Let's not forget Musetti also reached the semis in Stuttgart and the final at Queen's Club back in June. With a 22-6 record since the start of Roland Garros in late May, I think Musetti has leveled up big time. If he improves his serve and adds a little bit more muscle on his forehand, I think it's only a matter of time before he finds himself in the top 10. Just one thing though, Musetti's worst performances have historically come on hard courts. He's never made it past the second round at the Australian Open or the third round at the US Open. It's literally been the same story at all the hardcourt Masters tournaments. Musetti only managed to reach the 4th round at Miami this year and the quarterfinals at Paris in 2022. Needless to say, we're now all left to predict how Musetti's form carries over to the hardcourts. Another player who can take away lots of positives from the Olympics is Felix Auger-Aliassime. Getting the weight off his back with a huge win over Medvedev in the third round would have been a massive confidence booster. In fact, he was previously 0-7 against Medi. Felix then followed that up with a 3-set win over Casper Ruud in the quarterfinal for his third top 10 win of the season before getting smoked by Alcaraz in the semis. Although FAA missed out on a medal after losing to Musetti, getting back-to-back top 10 wins and making the semis of the Olympics is definitely a huge positive for him. But for those of you guys asking if Felix is back, I think it's a little bit early to say. He'll definitely need to back up his strong showing at the Olympics with a few big runs during the American hardcourt swing, and then maybe that's a conversation we can have. But we can't say the same thing about Stefanos Tsitsipas. After first-round disappointments with his brother in the men's doubles and Maria Sakkari in the mixed doubles, Tsitsipas followed up a shaky start against Zizou Bears with impressive wins over Dan Evans and Sebastian Baez to set up a meeting with Djokovic in the quarterfinal. Although Djokovic was the obvious favorite, the way the match played out kinda makes you want to take a more critical look at Tsitsipas' game as a whole. After losing the first set 6-3, Tsitsipas raced out of the blocks to a 4-love lead in the second set. And to add on to that, Djokovic had an injury scare on his knee and was in excruciating pain. Still, Tsitsipas couldn't get over the line and at least push the match to a decider. Instead, it was Djokovic who would save 3 set points to take care of business in straight sets. Tsitsipas a few years ago was a legit threat to any top player. He won the ATP Finals, a couple of Masters at Monte Carlo, and was 1 set away from winning the 2021 French Open at this same venue. Despite his backhand being the weakest part of his game, his strengths were so good that they mostly covered up his weaknesses. But honestly, these days, you can't trust Tsitsipas to cause an upset even when the odds are against the very best players. He hasn't beaten Alcaraz in 6 attempts, lost 2 of his last 3 matches to Sinner, and is now 2-12 against Djokovic. I know injuries have played their part and that there might be other intangibles at play here, but it's safe to say that Tsitsipas just doesn't have the game to trouble the top guys at the moment. What's the way forward for Steph? He could totally use another purple patch right now. Switching focus to the women's side, and what did we find? Insane comebacks, chaotic meltdowns, and pure brilliance overall. The nail-biting action ended with Zheng Qinwen securing the gold medal for China. Zheng became the first Chinese tennis player to claim the gold medal in singles after beating Croatia's Dana Vekic in the final in straight sets. The match was tighter than the scoreline indicates, but I thought Vekic's forehand fell just short of her usual standards. She seemed a bit slower and less consistent. Vekic had 12 unforced errors and only 3 winners against Zheng in the first set, and although the second set was better, it was never going to be enough against a near-flawless Zheng. Vekic's serve wasn't great either, as we can see from the stats. So Vekic didn't get many free points because Zheng continued to find enough depth to trouble the Croatian. For Zheng, it was the perfect ending to an insane week of tennis after taking the hard road to the final. She had to save a match point against Emma Navarro in the third round, and then had to rally from 1-4 down in the third set in the quarterfinals against an inspired Angelique Kerber who was playing in her final tournament. It was then a complete unraveling in the semifinal when Zheng did the impossible, beating her nemesis, world number 1 and overwhelming favorite Iga Swiatek on Iga's best surface. Again, Zheng had to rally from a love 4 deficit in the second set of the semifinals to defeat Iga for the first time in 7 matches. Looking back at how far she's come from the finals of the Australian Open to becoming an Olympic champion, this has definitely got to be the culmination of the canon event for Zheng. And here's just what the W means for Zheng.
I can be able to say to my family, to say to my father, come on, I just made a history, so in the future I wish if I lost, I will say this to him, and then he will just let me stay quiet, enjoy tennis. Because I know he always treats Olympic Games more important than any of the slams. I think all the Chinese fans same, and including me.
Vekic also had to earn her way to the final after beating world number 2 Coco Gauff and then saving a match point against Marta Kostyuk in the quarterfinals in a match that lasted almost 3 hours. Vekic definitely wasn't at her best in the final, but looking back at how far she's come in the last couple months, she definitely has something to be proud of. In fact, Dana briefly considered stepping away from the game just a couple months ago after struggling to return to full fitness following a major knee surgery in 2021. But after seeing her performance this season on grass and in the Olympics, it's safe to say that she won't be thinking of retirement just yet. Before the Olympics, Vekic confirmed that she was in a lot of pain, had her flight canceled, arrived late, and couldn't even make 2 shots in a row. And in spite of all that, here we are now with Vekic winning the first Olympic singles medal for a Croatian woman. Vekic is a player to keep on your radar in the coming months, but let's talk about someone else who might still be licking her wounds. Iga was in tears after her semifinal loss to Zheng. Guys, for 1,149 days, nobody could touch Iga at Roland Garros until Zheng managed to do it. One thing I noticed is that unlike a player like Coco Gauff, who has 11 losses in straight sets to Iga, Zheng managed to push Iga to 3 sets in 3 out of her 6 losses to the pole. During their clash, Zheng matched Iga's firepower pound for pound and was also better on the second serve and return, consistently getting the ball deep. But despite Zheng's brilliance, you can't help but look at what Iga didn't do. I have the stats showing on the screen: 36 unforced errors for Iga, which is almost 3 times as many than what we saw from Zheng. Interestingly, many of those errors were off the backhand wing, which happens to be Iga's best shot. Iga said her backhand broke down due to the stress of playing back-to-back matches, which means that she didn't have time to work on the stroke. Iga managed to regroup and secure a bronze medal against Schmidlova, but she'll probably be thinking this was her best chance to get that gold medal. Iga's bronze medal run wasn't without its fair share of controversy, though. For some reason, there seemed to be a lot of shenanigans going on at the Olympics, and 3 American women were at the center of it. We saw Danielle Collins call out Iga for being insincere and fake when they shook hands at the net in their quarterfinal clash after Collins had to retire from an apparent abdominal injury. Collins basically said people behave one way on camera and act another way in the locker room, and that she didn't need any fakeness from Iga. Watching the match, we saw Iga do this when Danielle tried to serve. Let's take a look at what the rulebook says. The server shall not serve until the receiver is ready. However, the receiver shall play to the reasonable pace of the server and shall be ready to receive within a reasonable time of the server being ready. So who was wrong here, Iga or Danielle? But that wasn't it. Iga has also been accused of gamesmanship in the past and has been sometimes notorious for taking bathroom breaks when she loses a set, like she did against Yulia Putintseva at Wimbledon when she lost the second set. Iga also took a bathroom break against Danielle, who was left waiting under the sun. Iga said that she had no idea how much time had passed and that she didn't do anything against the rules. Some fans consider it disrespectful and unsportsmanlike, saying that Iga knows what she's doing, while others believe Iga was well within her rights. But then fans called Danielle out for being fake after retiring due to an apparent injury in singles and then competing shortly after in doubles. Watching the doubles match, Danielle was actually in some kind of pain and also ended up losing. We then saw things get spicy between Emma Navarro and Zheng Qinwen at the net after Zheng saved a match point to defeat Navarro. Navarro told Zheng that she didn't respect her as a competitor and that she went about things in a cutthroat way. Zheng then added that Navarro also said that she didn't know how she managed to have a lot of fans with that attitude. Zheng said she didn't consider those words an attack because Emma lost the match. Boy, was that a comeback. Watching all these things happen, I'm like, what's going on with these players? What's happening in that locker room? Please, someone tell me. And don't even get me started with Coco Gauff's beef with the umpire following a controversial call in her third-round loss to Donna Vekic. Gauff argued that the call came before she made contact with her forehand, and that put her off on her follow-through. Watching the footage, we see that the call came just after Gauff hit the ball. I feel like the umpire wasn't even sure about his decision, which only made matters worse. Did the call impact Gauff's swing? Judging from how she normally hits the ball, I personally don't think so, but I could be wrong, so let me know what you guys think. Now, before we label anyone a sore loser, it's important to understand the context around each of these events. There was a lot of tension going on, and we were literally seeing each of these players at their absolute worst. These things happen, and they're always going to happen in tennis. While fans were picking sides on who was right and who was wrong, something special was happening. Rafa Nadal and Carlos Alcaraz were killing it in doubles. For the first time in a long time, we saw a lot of attention switch to the doubles matches. Nadal and Alcaraz reached the quarterfinal before getting stopped by Krajicek and Ram, while we also saw Andy Murray and Dan Evans saving more than half a dozen match points to reach the quarterfinal. And it got me thinking, what does tennis need to do to restore doubles to its former glory? Injections of star power and more incentives for singles players? Best of 3 format in Grand Slams? Or just better scheduling in general? We saw some players play singles and doubles on consecutive days. Taylor Fritz played 3 events on the same day, which really didn't make any sense. But I'll tell you one thing. Seeing Matt Ebden win the gold medal in doubles after getting absolutely destroyed by Djokovic in the opening round in singles was one iconic moment that I'll definitely remember. Should Ebden's spot have been given to another singles player instead of a doubles specialist? I think so. I plan to make a video about the current problems in doubles and how to solve them in the coming weeks. There are so many talking points, and we'll be interviewing a few very special guests who might know a thing or two about the game at the highest level. So be sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss anything. The waterworks started when Andy Murray played his last tennis match as a professional player. If there's any word to describe him, it's fighter. He went toe-to-toe with the big 3 and some devastating injuries, and yet achieved all of this. His witty sense of humor and unwavering support for women's tennis is something that will also never be forgotten. But it wasn't just Murray. Former world number 1 Angelique Kerber also called time on her illustrious career. But we still don't know what's next for this man. Rafa Nadal has gotten tired of answering questions about his retirement. He says he'll make the decision after the Olympics. There were no bonus points for past achievements at Roland Garros when Nadal got dominated by Djokovic in the second round in what was their 60th match and possibly their last dance together. What's next for Nadal? Only he knows. Tennis at the Paris Olympics had everything: brilliance, personal beef, historic moments, and even romance. As the week reached its climax, we saw Katerina Siniakova and Thomas Machac share a romantic moment after defeating Wang and Zheng to win the gold medal in mixed doubles. The word on the street is that the couple were together for 4 years and recently broke up, but then committed to playing mixed doubles. Italy's Jasmine Paolini and Sara Errani then secured the gold medal for their country after some brilliant displays all week. Another storyline that deserves a shout-out was seeing 29-year-old world number 170 Benjamin Hassan become the first Lebanese man in history to win a singles match at the Olympics. Who did he beat? Chris Eubanks. Can't exactly say that I'm shocked that happened. Now, a casual fan watching this video might not be too thrilled with tennis at the Olympics simply because there were no ranking points involved. But does it really matter? Should tennis players receive ranking points at the Olympics? Between 2000 and 2012, ranking points were awarded at the Summer Olympics, but things have changed since then. While awarding points might make more players want to participate, I just don't see how it works. The tournament occurs once every 4 years, so how do players get to defend their points 52 weeks later? Also, awarding ranking points wouldn't be fair to the rest of the field that aren't selected. Ideally, you want all the players to have a fair chance at entering tournaments, but that's not quite the case at the Olympics. A top player might not get to represent their country because there are so many great players from their country, while a lower-ranked player from another nationality might easily make the Olympics of their country. And then talking about the importance of the tournament. If you asked any player to choose between winning the Olympics and a slam, most of them are likely to pick winning a slam. But when it comes to winning a gold medal for your country, there's no price tag to that. We saw how much the gold medal meant to Djokovic. The Olympics happen once every 4 years, so that in itself makes the tournament hard to win, but we really shouldn't compare tennis to other sports where winning a gold medal at the Olympics is the pinnacle of the sport. Grand Slams are way important to many players, but if you disagree, please let me know what you think. We even saw players like Dan Evans drop 111 spots in the ATP rankings to number 169. He was world number 58 and had 500 points to defend at Washington following his title win last year, but said that the chance to play doubles with Andy Murray one last time played a big role in his decision to participate at the Olympics this year. Now, Evans has his work cut out for him this summer. We also kept tabs on players who couldn't make it to the Olympics. Holger Rune withdrew from the tournament, citing an ongoing wrist injury as the problem. Watching Holger play throughout this year, I think that the Sinner and Alcaraz talent comparisons don't make things look any better. And now that he's split with Patrick Mouratoglou, you can't help but wonder how this rapid coaching turnover has set Rune back. If you were to make a coaching recommendation for Rune, who would you go for? I don't really know his options at the moment, and he has the reputation of being a little bit difficult to work with, so I guess we'll see what happens next. Another player who couldn't make it to the Olympics due to injury is Hubie Hurkacz. His doctors recommended that he doesn't play again until Australia next year, but we got an update on his rehab so far, and things are looking good. For Rybakina, who's been suffering from bronchitis after Wimbledon, she's already withdrawn from the Canadian Open. I'll probably consider doing a deep dive on Rybakina soon. Her frequent illnesses have no doubt impacted her ability to play her best tennis week in, week out. But when healthy, there's no doubt what she can do on the court. When we checked on the Mubadala City DC Open in Washington, we saw incredible scenes at the final, with Paula Badosa winning her first title since 2022. She's struggled with injuries for so long, but on Sunday, we were reminded of how much damage the Badosa of old could do to opponents. Facing Marie Bushkova in the final, Badosa blitzed through the first set as her opponent looked like she'd been on the wrong end of a boxing match. Bushkova, however, turned the match into a dogfight as she turned up the aggression in the second set. Still sleeping on the WTA? Bushkova then broke Badosa at the death to force a decider, but Badosa put some pep in her step to get the job done, and here's what the title meant to her.
She has been through so much heartache and tough times with injury.
Despite Badosa almost entering double figures for double faults and being wasteful on break points, she was able to secure the title and climb 22 spots up into the top 40. Badosa is now only a couple spots away from being seeded at the US Open. What a turnaround for the Spaniard. On the men's side, Seb Korda won the biggest title of his career after taking down Jordan Thompson in the quarterfinal, Tiafoe in the semis, and Flavio Cobolli in the final to round up an impressive week for the American. Now back inside the top 20, Korda will be looking to reproduce such high-quality tennis against superior opponents. The tournament in Washington, however, was marred by Denis Shapovalov's ridiculous default against Shelton in the quarterfinal. Shapo responded to someone in the crowd that was bothering him, and he also threw his racket on the ground. Was that really enough to justify losing all of his ranking points and prize money? I personally don't think so. Poor judgment there from the supervisor and chair umpire. Last week in tennis was action-packed, but we are just getting started. The rest of August is stacked with all of these tournaments. You can keep up with the action by smashing that subscribe button, and while you're here, be sure to share your thoughts on what went down at the Olympics and any other video ideas you want me to cover. Also, we're launching a Discord channel where you'll have a behind-the-scenes look at the channel and even input on our upcoming video ideas, merch, and much more. I've been wanting to create this for a while. It's a place to interact with other like-minded tennis fans and for me to get your feedback on the work we're doing. All that's to say, I'm super excited to keep growing this community with you. Until next time, keep swinging.